Girls, we are on chapter 7, and we will listen now to, let me share.
Obama, Secretary of Education
Girls, you
Arnie
hear?
Duncan, White House staff, school board
You hear, girls,
members.
and you see the PowerPoint?
Christmas.
Okay, here is the presenter. He will present Barack Obama, and we know Barack Obama was the former president for USA. Okay, it is a speech he gave in a school of Adlington. Where is he? Starts talking. Here is. Enjoy it, girls. You will love it. I loved it. Yesterday I was preparing it. I watched it all. I couldn't stop watching it. You will just focus with the words. Focus, focus. He really says very important and useful stuff for you. Okay? Please focus, girls. And there is the subtitles.
Hello, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. All right, everybody, go ahead and have a seat. How's everybody doing today? How about Tim Spicer? I am here with students at Wakefield High School in Arlington, Virginia, and we've got students tuning in from all across America, from kindergarten through 12th grade. And I am just so glad that all could join us today, and I want to thank Wakefield for being such an outstanding host. Give yourselves a big round of applause. Now, I know that for many of you, today is the first day of school. And for those of you in kindergarten or starting middle or high school, it's your first day in a new school, so it's understandable if you're a little nervous. I imagine there's some seniors out there who are feeling pretty good right now, with just one more year to go. And no matter what grade you're in, some of you are probably wishing it were still summer, and you could have stayed in bed just a little bit longer this morning. I know that feeling. When I was young, my family lived overseas. I lived in Indonesia for a few years. And my mother, she didn't have the money to send me where all the American kids went to school. But she thought it was important for me to keep up with an American education. So she decided to teach me extra lessons herself, Monday through Friday. But because she had to go to work, the only time she could do it was at 4:30 in the morning. Now, as you might imagine, I wasn't too happy about getting up that early. And a lot of times I'd fall asleep right there at the kitchen table. But whenever I'd complain, my mother would just give me one of those looks and she'd say, "This is no picnic for me either, Buster." So I know that some of you are still adjusting to being back at school, but I'm here today because I have something important to discuss with you. I'm here because I want to talk with you about your education and what's expected of all of you in this new school year. I've given a lot of speeches about education, and I've talked about responsibility a lot. I've talked about teachers' responsibility for inspiring students and pushing you to learn. I've talked about your parents' responsibility for making sure you stay on track and you get your homework done and don't spend every waking hour in front of the TV or with the Xbox. I've talked a lot about your government's responsibility for setting high standards and supporting teachers and principals and turning around schools that aren't working, where students aren't getting the opportunities that they deserve. But at the end of the day, we can have the most dedicated teachers, the most supportive parents, the best schools in the world, and none of it will make a difference. None of it will matter unless all of you fulfill your responsibilities. Unless you show up to those schools, unless you pay attention to those teachers, unless you listen to your parents and grandparents and other adults and put in the hard work it takes to succeed. And that's what I want to focus on today. The responsibility each of you has for your education. I want to start with the responsibility you have to yourself. Every single one of you has something that you're good at. Every single one of you has something to offer. And you have a responsibility to yourself to discover what that is. That's the opportunity an education can provide. Maybe you could be a great writer, maybe even good enough to write a book or articles in a newspaper, but you might not know it until you write that English paper, that English class paper that's assigned to you. Maybe you could be an innovator or an inventor, maybe even good enough to come up with the next iPhone or the new medicine or vaccine, but until you do your project for your science class. Maybe you could be a mayor or a senator or a Supreme Court justice, but you might not know that until you join student government or the debate team. And no matter what you want to do with your life, I guarantee that you'll need an education to do it. You want to be a doctor or a teacher or a police officer? You want to be a nurse or an architect, a lawyer or a member of our military? You're going to need a good education for every single one of those careers. You cannot drop out of school and just drop into a good job. You've got to train for it and work for it and learn for it. And this isn't just important for your own life and your own future. What you make of your education will decide nothing less than the future of this country. The future of America depends on you. What you're learning in school today will determine whether we as a nation can meet our greatest challenges in the future. You'll need the knowledge and problem-solving skills you learn in.
Girls, listen, girls. Are you with me?
Yes, miss.
Again, from here, he will read the excerpt that we are going to study. But when I was preparing, as I say again, I said before for you, the speech is so inspiring. So I prefer that you hear the whole speech. But from here, you can follow from the book what is he going to say.
The future of this country. The future of America depends on you. What you're learning in school today will determine whether we as a nation can meet our greatest challenges in the future. You'll need the knowledge and problem-solving skills you learn in science and math to cure diseases like cancer and AIDS, and to develop new energy technologies and protect our environment. You'll need the insights and critical thinking skills you gain in history and social studies to fight poverty and homelessness, crime and discrimination, and make our nation more fair and more free. You'll need the creativity and ingenuity you develop in all your classes to build new companies that will create new jobs and boost our economy. We need every single one of you to develop your talents and your skills and your intellect so you can help us old folks solve our most difficult problems. If you don't do that, if you quit on school, you're not just quitting on yourself, you're quitting on your country. Now, I know it's not always easy to do well in school. I know a lot of you have challenges in your lives right now that can make it hard to focus on your schoolwork. I get it. I know what it's like. My father left my family when I was 2 years old, and I was raised by a single mom who had to work and who struggled at times to pay the bills and wasn't always able to give us the things that other kids had. There were times when I missed having a father in my life. There were times when I was lonely and I felt like I didn't fit in. So I wasn't always as focused as I should have been on school. And I did some things that I'm not proud of. And I got in more trouble than I should have. And my life could have easily taken a turn for the worse. But I was lucky. I got a lot of second chances. And I had the opportunity to go to college and law school and follow my dreams. My wife, our First Lady, Michelle Obama, she has a similar story. Neither of her parents had gone to college, and they didn't have a lot of money. But they worked hard, and she worked hard so that she could go to the best schools in this country. So some of you might not have those advantages. Maybe you don't have adults in your life who give you the support that you need. Maybe someone in your family has lost their job and there's not enough money to go around. Maybe you live in a neighborhood where you don't feel safe or have friends who are pressuring you to do things you know aren't right. But at the end of the day, the circumstances of your life, what you look like, where you come from, how much money you have, what you've got going on at home, none of that is an excuse for neglecting your homework or having a bad attitude in school. That's no excuse for talking back to your teacher or cutting class or dropping out of school. There is no excuse for not trying. Where you are right now doesn't have to determine where you'll end up. No one's written your destiny for you. Because here in America, you write your own destiny. You make your own future. That's what young people like you are doing every day all across America. Young people like Jasmine Perez from Roma, Texas. Jasmine didn't speak English when she first started school. Neither of her parents had gone to college. But she worked hard, earned good grades, and got a scholarship to Brown University, as now in graduate school studying public health, on her way to becoming Dr. Jasmine Perez. I'm thinking about Andoni Schultz from Los Altos, California, who's fought brain cancer since he was 3. He's had to endure all sorts of treatments and surgeries, one of which affected his memory, so it took him much longer, hundreds of extra hours to do his schoolwork. But he never fell behind. He's headed to college this fall. And then there's Chantel Steve from my hometown of Chicago, Illinois. Even when bouncing from foster home to foster home in the toughest neighborhoods in the city, she managed to get a job at a local health care center, start a program to keep young people out of gangs, and she's on track to graduate high school with honors and go on to college. And Jasmine and Doni and aren't any different from any of you. They face challenges in their lives just like you do. In some cases, they've got it a lot worse off than many of you. But they refuse to give up. They chose to take responsibility for their lives, for their education, and set goals for themselves. And I expect all of you to do the same. That's why today I'm calling on each of you to set your own goals for your education and do everything you can to meet them. Your goal can be something as simple as doing all your homework, paying attention in class, or spending some time each day reading a book. Maybe you'll decide to get involved in an extracurricular activity or volunteer in your community. Maybe you'll decide to stand up for kids who are being teased or bullied because of who they are or how they look. Because you believe, like I do, that all young people deserve a safe environment to study and learn. Maybe you'll decide to take better care of yourself so you can be more ready to learn. And along those lines, by the way, I hope all of you are washing your hands a lot and that you stay home from school when you don't feel well so we can keep people from getting the flu this fall and winter. But whatever you resolve to do, I want you to commit to it. I want you to really work at it. I know that sometimes you get that sense from TV that you can be rich and successful without any hard work. That your ticket to success is through rapping or basketball or being a reality TV star. Chances are you're not going to be any of those things. The truth is, being successful is hard. You won't love every subject that you study. You won't click with every teacher that you have. Not every homework assignment will seem completely relevant to your life right at this minute. And you won't necessarily succeed at everything the first time you try. That's okay. Some of the most successful people in the world are the ones who've had the most failures. J.K. Rowling, who wrote Harry Potter, her first Harry Potter book was rejected 12 times before it was finally published. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. He lost hundreds of games and missed thousands of shots during his career. But he once said, I have failed over and over and over again in my life, and that's why I succeed. These people succeeded because they understood that you can't let your failures define you. You have to let your failures teach you. You have to let them show you what to do differently the next time. So if you get into trouble, that doesn't mean you're a troublemaker. It means you need to try harder to act right. If you get a bad grade, that doesn't mean you're stupid. It just means you need to spend more time studying. No one's born being good at all things. You become good at things through hard work. You're not a varsity athlete the first time you play a new sport. You don't hit every note the first time you sing a song. You've got to practice. The same principle applies to your schoolwork. You might have to do a math problem a few times before you get it right. You might have to read something a few times before you understand it. You definitely have to do a few drafts of a paper before it's good enough to hand in. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it. I do that every day. Asking for help isn't a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength, because it shows you have the courage to admit when you don't know something, and that then allows you to learn something new. So find an adult that you trust, a parent, a grandparent, or a teacher, a coach, or a counselor, and ask them to help you stay on track to meet your goals. And even when you're struggling, even when you're discouraged, and you feel like other people have given up on you, don't ever give up on yourself. Because when you give up on yourself, you give up on your country. The story of America isn't about people who quit when things got tough. It's about people who kept going, who tried harder, who loved their country too much to do anything less than their best. It's the story of students who sat where you sit 250 years ago and went on to wage a revolution, and they founded this nation. Young people. Students who sat where you sit 75 years ago, who overcame a depression and won a world war, who fought for civil rights and put a man on the moon. Students who sat where you sit 20 years ago, who founded Google and Twitter and Facebook and changed the way we communicate with each other. So today, I want to ask all of you, what's your contribution going to be? What problems are you going to solve? What discoveries will you make? What will a president who comes here in 20 or 50 or 100 years say about what all of you did for this country? You know, your families, your teachers, and I are doing everything we can to make sure you have the education you need to answer these questions. I'm working hard to fix up your classrooms and get you the books and the equipment and the computers you need to learn. But you've got to do your part too. So I expect all of you to get serious this year. I expect you to put your best effort into everything you do. I expect great things from each of you. So don't let us down. Don't let your family down or your country down. Most of all, don't let yourself down. Make us all proud. Thank you very much, everybody. God bless you. God bless America. Thank you.
Girls, what do you think of it?
So inspiring.
It's so
Yeah.
nice.
You loved it?
Yes.
Yes.
But I actually think that there should be a teacher who like tells the students these things every once in a while to remind them
To remind them, yes, yes. Especially this year when there is no contact between the teacher and the students. When I watched it yesterday, I felt like, yes, the students really need to get to know or to hear a presentation like this. So I prefer that you listen to all of it. And what was the most thing that touched your heart or affected you?
His background, I think, how he woke up at 4:30 a.m. to study.
Yeah. To
Yes, and
study and like
yes, and he was poor. He didn't have the equipments you have today, the equipment you have today, right?
also is the way he talked about failure and success.
Excellent.
Not
This I
all
like this, yes. when he mentioned Michael Jordan. You know Michael Jordan, he's a basketball athlete.
Yes.
And when he talked about the author of Harry Potter, and he said that I feel, the person said, the Michael Jordan said, I failed and failed and failed. That's how I succeeded. What
And
else,
that his
guys? What?
background story is proof that his
Yeah,
hard work did pay off.
yes.
When he
His
said,
even his
don't let
wife.
yourself down.
Yes, don't let yourself down. And this is a speech for American students, but it also can fit for us because yes, you're not letting yourself down. You're letting yourself down, your family down, your country down. And what else, girls? What else affected you?
That the future is going to be our future, that we're the ones who are going to do the future.
Yes, and he even divided the years for the challenges that students face, as he said, for you, the independence for they fought for independence for America, and after few decades, they fought for a civil war, and then the World War One, World War Two, and they then fought for discrimination and this, and then they no words, no more words, but there were the inventions of Twitter, Facebook, and what we are doing now, that we can study online. What else affected you, girls?
That even if people had gave up or had given up on you, you don't need to give up on yourself.
Yes, yes. You have hope for yourself, even if people have given up on you. Anything else, girls?
That where I am today is not going to determine who I'm going to be tomorrow.
Yes, yes. It's going to determine who I will be tomorrow. Rima, I didn't hear your voice today.
I said
Hmm?
that his background and where he is
I can't hear you well. Uh,
is proof.
I can't hear you, dear. Rima.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
I said that his background and where he was at the moment as a former president was proof that even when he had a tough upbringing, he was still able to get where he was just by his hard work.
yes, by his hard work. Yeah. And he even mentioned his wife. Bayan, are you here, Bayan? Bayan? Zina? Dana Shaheen? All of you are not, all of these girls are not here. لغد. Durra?
Yes, miss.
Durra, what did you like about the speech we've just heard, you Durra?
Miss, it's really inspiring. Like, it's really brightened up the mood because I was like kind of depressed. But then after hearing this, like, I regained my strength.
Yes, yes. Great, great, Durra. Kadra, did you find any answer to your question and you're complaining about the homeworks?
Uh, yes, kind of.
What was the answer?
And feel like even in this situation of the pandemic, we still need to have commitment to our homeworks and duty. It's not an excuse.
He said to you that you will not find your strength in which point until you get to write this writing English assignment so you know that I can write well. If you solve what is it? It's what is called in math, problem solving in math. So then you find out that you are a genius in math or a math genius. You'll not find that you are good in a section or in a in a subject until you participate in this subject. You solve your homework. He said to you, what is asked from you now is just pay attention in class, solve your homework, do your assignments. That's it. Participate in projects. That's it. That's what's asked for you from you. You have teachers, sincere teachers, honest teachers. You have parents who provide you with the laptop, provide you with the internet. They paid for all of that. They paid their school fees. They paid your laptop money. They paid your internet money. They paid your club. Your father goes out to work each morning in order to provide all of this stuff. He only expects only one thing from you. One thing. Pay attention at school. Pay attention at school, at your classes. Because girls, I will tell you something that I always say to my son. I don't want you to get the full mark. I don't want you to get 10 over 10. This is not what I want from you. I want to feel that you are responsible for your chores, because a responsible person who is responsible for his study, now your responsibility is only studying. If you are strong enough and you handle your responsibility well, it means that you can carry all the responsibilities that are coming in your life. So it's not about only studying and only getting. He says to me, I get the full mark. I say, I don't want the full mark. I want to say a responsible person who is responsible for his. He knows when to study. He knows when to take a bath. He knows when to go to sport. He knows This is a successful person, not by the full mark. A successful person, not the person who gets the full mark. A successful person who can handle the responsibilities. Okay, who can keep up with the pressure. Who
But
can
still there's limits for everything. I mean, our mental health is important. Now, like, we're neglecting our personal life just for like our school works.
Yes, and now you are listen, ya Kadra, you stayed home for almost a year now. A year. Your brain, if you take less than that, your brain will not function well, dear. The more you give your brain, the more your brain functions well. The more you read, the more you open your mind up. The more you give effort, the more you succeed. At your time, dear, I told you before, at your time we were examine all the book from the first page. Ask your parents, girls. Go ask your parents. We used to study the whole book, no highlighting, no PowerPoint, nothing. Now it's too much easier for you, and still you can't handle the pressure. Before, we used to take homeworks, and you cannot imagine every period we have a homework for each period. Today, no. Like today in English, you don't have a homework for English. It never happens on my time. Ask your parents. And I'm not telling you to get the full mark. I'm telling you to carry your responsibility. The person who can handle the pressure of homework can handle the pressure of anything coming.
Miss, it's not that we can't handle this. I mean, this is like a sudden thing, and they expect us like to get used to it. We need time to get used to those things.
Yes. This is your only job, Qadra. Your only job is to pay attention to your class and make your homework. Do your homework. Your only job. Okay? And this what makes difference between people, dear. This is what makes differences. This is what will determine your future. This is what will make a scientist, a doctor, a lawyer, an accountant, a worker, and it will at the same time make a useless person. And he said a very important sentence, that your parents' job is not to let you sit on laptops, on Xbox, or on mobile devices all day long. So don't get sad of your parents if they take your mobiles and this. It is, at the end, it's for you, not for us. not for us as parents. Okay, and even teachers who give you lots of homeworks, they do not do this to suffer you. Yani, we don't like to see you suffering. It's not our job. It's not our job to see you suffering, but it's our job to put you in a specific stress. You have to get used to this stress. Qadra, you are 2 years to college. 2 years. In college, you'll have deadlines. And they just decided like this. In college, you have not one assignment, not one homework. You have like tens. Like up to the college you are going to, of course. And it is different from each college. Okay, there are like a medicine college, you keep studying for 15 years. After you finish the 7 years of studying, you get to make your master's and then your PhD. And this is what makes difference between each other, between individuals. Okay, so girls, here he asks you, if you had a friend who was considering dropping out of school. So of course, girls, we read the passage, we read it with Barack Obama when he said it. I want you to read it silently, and if you have a friend who considers dropping out of school, or a person who does not care about his school, how might you convince him or her to finish school, to encourage him? What argument might you use? Write them below. Write me the reasons down in your box, in the box. What from the text, what are you going to tell him in order not to drop school?
Now, miss, or as a homework?
Now.
Oh. Probably by dropping, should I say?
Yes.
Probably by dropping out of school, you will be ending your life because you will have no future since you're not studying.
Yes.
Probably because life depends on your education and your knowledge. So if you don't have enough knowledge or education, so you won't able to exceed in your future life.
Excellent. Excellent, yes. Great.
What else? I would first of all examine the reason they want to drop out of school for. Because if there's something else that they're passionate about, I would tell them that the future is really unpredictable. So always see your hobby as a backup plan and your education is a first priority, because your education will be there to support you. You can find a job easily when you have a college degree. You can verify your life as long as the thing you're passionate about can always be a hobby. And once you have this education, it's not like as a hobby, it's never too late to start working with your hobby. But when the time with education is really limited, so we have to really prioritize it, because losing it means losing a huge portion, or like since the future is unpredictable, you might even turn out to love education more than the thing you're passionate about.
Yes,
so
great.
you need to always think of both scenarios, not just one.
Yes, even when he said to them, you think you can get money by sport or by a TV reality show, or like being now on YouTube. Yes, he says that luckily you're not one of them. Yani don't plan your life that you are going to gain money from the easy way, because luckily you will not get it this way.
It's not luck wise, it's about how passionate you are. Like, because even if you're not lucky, if you're passionate about this thing, you're going to give it everything in order to make it work, right?
Yeah.
So these jobs do make money, but we have to always think of them as a second case, because
Yes, and I want to add something, Yelayan. Those that you watch on TikTok or Snapchat and these, don't you feel like they are empty-headed? They have no background, they have no content, they have nothing to show.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because they didn't depend on their education. It is okay to be a model, but at least this model, when she opens her mouth, she says rationally stuff. Rational stuff, right? Yes.
I really did not like that segment where he was saying that all these other jobs that are not academically, I get they don't have to do with academics, aren't like real jobs. He was like not he was what's the word? Like
He
he wasn't.
underestimated those kinds of jobs that they not need.
Yeah, exactly. And
I
so
actually I didn't notice this sentence.
he said that like most teenagers now or young adults, when they're aspiring for jobs that are not normal 9 to 5 jobs, they're not real. He's kind of applying an older mindset. The world has changed a lot, and
You know, dear, listen, this is the point I was talking about, that he says the easy money of like those who may make
but
those
it's
on
not easy
TikToks or
money.
YouTube, dear, like those who are on YouTube, they make a play a silly video and they publish it 1 million viewers and they gain money.
But then
This
there
is
are other people who've worked for years. It's not easy work to market yourself and do partnerships and edit videos. It takes a really long time, and he's really neglecting all of that.
But you are
A-
saying for those who are what, who are already educated to do this? Or those people who just play a video, a silly video, and they publish it online and then they gain money for nothing?
No, there are a
And
lot
if
of
it
people
happens
who
with
make a
one,
job out
if
of
it
it.
likely happens with one, it will not happen with all of us. Success needs hard work, as he said. Success needs hard work. And as you say now, that those people who succeeded in these videos and gaining money, they get to pay hard work. But listen, Rima. Those YouTubers, those two, I don't remember his name. The one who buys a school bus and fills it with the bubble. The one what's his name? Logan Paul, I think.
I'm not sure. There are many.
Yeah, this is the American one. What does he do? He does nothing. He just they buy Pokemon cards with like 200,000 and he opens them in a video and he gains like $1 million. Yani, there is no content, nothing to make the
Yes,
coming
but to
generation
you, that's not content. But to them,
achieve.
that's days and months of planning and learning
Nothing,
how
dear.
to.
It's nothing. How?
No,
What
it
is?
is.
What's your
He's
mind goes?
marketing towards a specific
I
audience, and he knows
I
how to
don't
do
agree,
that
Arima.
properly.
What does it? How I benefit you as a watch, as someone who watches me? I go buy Pokemon and then I opens it in front of you and then I get money. Yani, how did benefit the whole world?
It's not
And
benefiting.
how did even entertain the whole world? It has nothing to give, dear. Even if you watch a movie, at least it has a message. If you read a novel, at least it has a message. But what is wonderful about a man who carries his wife and he pushes her in the swimming pool and then he gets $1 million viewers? Yani, where is the content?
I'm not saying that what he's doing is useful, but he knows how to market. That's the point that I'm talking
We
about.
cannot.
Is
Okay,
that a lot of
but this will happen with how many people in the country? This will not help us, dear, in any way. They are not even entertaining us. I'm not talking about a comic actor. I'm not talking about comic actor who gives you entertainment. I'm talking about blah blah. And this is my opinion, and I respect your opinion, of course. I respect that you think that those people also have a chance. But imagine if those people had a good education. At least the content will be better. Like الدحيح, for example. الدحيح he presented in a good way. Many other documentaries, they have like sense of humor, at least a sense of humor. I'm not opposing it, yani. I have opinion, you have an opinion, but at least we agree that they should be educated in order to give at
there
least
are a
good
lot of them
content.
that do, and a lot of them that don't. Like you said, a lot of them are really just shallow YouTubers, but then a lot
Yes,
of them
this is it.
are.
This is what I want to say, that they are so shallow. They don't give any content that will not benefit us even at laughing. It is just a waste of time. Consuming
Miss,
your
but
time.
how can you be so sure?
So what?
How can you be so sure that the content being made is like for a target audience? If it's just a entertainment source?
How it's not entertaining me? What, dear? It's for what audience?
Like, what I meant that, like, what if this person is just doing that because he wants to do them? He doesn't see any, he sees it as a hobby, not as something that he can benefit from.
No, he
Like,
benefits
there's,
from. He makes all of that for money, dear.
what if he doesn't? What if he makes it just
Like
because he
what?
wants to have
Just give
fun?
me a name. Someone who plays a video with no aim to gain
Like,
money.
it's general perspective. Like, think of the general perspective. What if this person's doing it from like boredom, out of like boredom, and they benefit from it? Like, coincidentally,
Great,
they
but
benefit from it.
listen, dear, an educated person, you will know that he is educated. You will know. You will get to look. I'm telling you, I'm not opposing comic or hilarious videos or videos that will make me laugh or entertain or anything. Entertain
Yeah.
me. I'm not against it, but at least an educated one will know how. By the way, I want to say something. A witty person, witty. What is witty? Witty is the one who plays with the words. Can never, and can never be stupid. In order to be witty, you have to be smart, to catch it, to catch the pun, as we say. From where does it come? From education, dear. Those people who didn't have a chance to study, those people like my grandmother, there was no time, there was no teaching for girls at that time. But how did she improve herself? From what? The way she was raised, the way they were all raised. Okay, there was no education, but there was a system of life that the girl has to do this, the girl has to do this, she has to talk this way, she has to cook this way. A girl to be married and go to her husband's house and this, yani, this is a way of life. Okay, but Barack Obama was talking about a person, he has everything, and yet he decides to quit studying and not doing his chores and leave studying for other things. Okay, why? Now you are 14 years old, 15 years old, 16 years old, you're not asked to do anything except studying. This is what he wants to say. Later, that will be determined by time. That will be determined by time. But now, what are you asked to do is just to study. Okay? So I'm not opposing those videos, but at least there would be a content to watch. Okay? This is what I want to say.
Would you do something that you don't really like for not just really like bored of, like, would you do something that you don't have at least a little bit of passion about? Like, there's definitely something that will distract you always.
Of course. Of
Yes.
course. And who said to you that we love to answer homeworks? Homeworks is not something we have to love, dear. It is something we have to do, and this will teach me how to commit. When I
Yes,
have
this is
something to be done, I have to done it, whether I like it or not, dear. Do you think I love my job? I love my job. I love teaching, but there are lots next to teaching. There are 10 more things I don't like. I spend for this PowerPoint 3 hours daily to prepare. After I finish the class, I go to upload the videos. I go to send the emails. I go to check the homeworks. I don't like any of these. I don't like them at all. But I am committed to my job. I have to do them. This is it. That
yes,
you are
super.
raised to commit. So when you grow up, you will be a commitment person. You have a job, so you commit to it. It's everything. It's stress. You got me?
Yes.
You are preparing your personality now. You're sharpening your character now for the future.
But you never can guarantee the future, that's all.
Never. And you do your part. What's coming up is in Allah's hand, and even now is in Allah's hands. But just you do your part and then leave it.
Yeah.
You do your part. At least I tried. At the end, you would say to yourself, at least I tried. Allah knows I tried. Okay? Yalla, girls, go for your break. See you tomorrow.
Goodbye. Have a nice
Thank you,
day.
miss. Have a
I
nice
hope you
day.
like the class today.
Yes, miss. Thank you so much. Have a nice day. Bye.